when we are connecting with the sources in Power BI. So we'll see some differences between the types of connectivity modes and what exactly the differences between them and when we should prefer which mode. Okay, so we'll discuss about this topic as well. So if we go to the get data source and you just go to SQL Server. So if you jump your SQL Server, it will ask you the server name. So what you just need to do, go to your database in SQL Server Management Studio. You just copy the server name from the connectivity folder and just go jump in back here. The server name. The database is optional. You can put the name or leave it. This is the point which I was talking about, the data connectivity mode, either in an import mode or a direct query mode. So I'll come to this point in some time. Okay. So for right now, what I'm just doing is I'm not even moving to the advanced options. I'm just saying okay. So if I hit okay, what will happen? It will connect to my server. So the list of databases inside the server. Same way, if I need to import the data from, let's say this AdventureWorks DW 2016 database. So what I'll do is I'll select the required tables. Once again, we have all the tables list here. So we'll select the required tables for this example right now where we are continuing. We'll select the dimension tables which are required, like product table with the product category. We need the product subcategory as well. We need the sales region, the sales territory. It's required. Employees table, and plus we need the finally internet sales fact table. Fact internet sales. Yeah. So once again, you can click on the load data. It will start loading up the data, and or we can click on the transform data to go to Power Query editor and start doing the same operation. So I'm not interested in that right now. We'll discuss the Power Query all transformation process in the coming session, in the coming module, where we'll discuss all the points of Power Query transformations only. So right now I'm not interested in that. So I'm leaving it, or I'm canceling it. But what I want to discuss more, the important points I want to discuss here, let's talk about that points. If I go once again, go to click data, click on get data, sorry, and click on SQL Server. I'll once again copy paste my server name. Now let's talk about these 2 points. These are the very important 2 points to understand the data connectivity mode. And I can say if you are looking forward for a career in this data analytics field, you must be very clear with these 2 points for your users perspective as well, plus interview perspective as well. It's one of the very important interview question as well. Even what is the data connectivity mode, difference between import mode and direct query mode. So let's talk about these 2 points. If I select the import mode, if I'm choosing the import mode, what will happen? What it will do, it will select, for example, if I go for import mode, click OK, and if I select the tables from the required database, whatever table name, for example, just a small demo purpose, I'm selecting this dim customer table. So what it will do, whatever tables you will select, it will take the data from your source, from your database, and then copy that, it will start loading that data. It will load that data into Power BI services. Repeating once again, what it will do, it will take the data from your whatever tables you are selecting, will select the data from there and load the data into Power BI services data set folder. Okay, maybe yes, it is 100% confirmed that when we have a two huge data set, it can, and it may, and definitely it will take a very long period of time to go and import the data set and put that into Power and load the data set into Power BI services. Okay, so, and one more very important point here, one more very important point to note here. In case, let's say suppose I have done loading through import, I have loaded the, I have copied the data. I can say it's a simple, in a simple language, I can say it's copying the data from your data, from your SQL server into Power BI services. So now let's say next day some new records are getting inserted, or maybe some updates are happening into your table, some records are getting deleted. So to reflect those changes over there, you have to refresh the data set every time. Okay, yes, we have some incremental refresh option. Even we have some managed gateway option as well, which we can use to schedule the refresh automatically. But still, we have to manage a lot of things over there. Okay. So what is the next option? What is the second one option? Will it be more beneficial if I directly connect, if I go to get data and click on SQL Server, put my server name once again, and this time if I use direct query mode, what is the difference? The difference is in the direct query mode, it will not load the data from SQL Server into Power BI services. It will directly create a connection only between the SQL Server and Power BI. And what it will do, what it is, that means if I'm writing any query, if I'm writing anything, for example, if I'm writing a select star from customer table, so whatever I'm executing on Power BI, it is fetching the data directly from SQL Server itself. It is not loading data anywhere into Power BI or Power BI services. Okay, so definitely a very fast option to connect first of all, and plus the data set will always be automatically refreshed. Whatever changes are occurring into your database, it will always be reflected into your report automatically. You don't need to do any refresh or nothing, because it's a simple straightforward process. You are directly fetching the data from the database itself. So a very important topic to be covered here, the difference between the import mode and the direct query mode. The difference is in the import mode, the Power BI copy the data from the source and load it into Power BI services data set. Okay, so it may take a huge time when the data set is very high, when the data set is very large. It can take a very long time to load the data set from the databases into Power BI services. Okay, and secondary point, we have to take care for refresh. We have to do it manually because uh, uh, we can set incremental refresh and all those options, but we have to check for the refresh options. Okay, to update the data day by day. But if we are using the direct query mode, then that means we are not loading the data into Power BI services. We are just directly fetching the calculations and every data from database itself. So that's a direct connectivity mode between the database and the Power BI services. So the data will always be updated, and definitely a very fast mode to work on. Apart from that, what is this advanced options? Some of the very important points here as well. Let's say suppose I'm using the direct query mode, and one more very important point is I want to say that okay, I want to load some particular columns from a particular table only. I don't want to select all the columns. That also a very important point. Either of loading the whole table. Let's say suppose either of connecting with the whole table and loading the whole table. That is also whether you are using if you are using the import mode, it will load it. If you are using the direct query mode, it will directly connect it. But still, let's say if I connect to this crime database, inside this I have these tables. But out of these tables, I'm not interested anywhere with the dim year table, or maybe this data source staging table. I'm not interested anywhere with this. Maybe for this report, we are interested to work on city table, state table, and year table only. And inside the year table and the state table, we are interested to work on particular columns only. Okay, we have two columns only here. I'm just telling for a demo purpose. Or maybe let's take this example from AdventureWorks only. If we go to any particular table, let's say fact table, fact internet sales table. If we go to columns, we have a huge list of columns available here. Here there are so many keys and there are so many columns, but we don't want all these columns to be imported into my table. So unnecessarily importing them and then later on going and removing them into Power Query Editor, what we can do, we can write the select query here itself. What I can do is select the particular column names. I would just want the product key. Sorry, I just want the product key, comma. I want the due date key, and I want just one more, which is my unit price. Okay, unit price. From put the table name. It's first of all, let's copy the database name. Dot the table name, which is in this case we are talking about the fact internet sales table. Let's copy this one as well and put it here. Okay. And now let's say for these three records itself as well, there may be 5,000 records into my table, but I'm not interested in all of them. I'm interested in those columns where I'm interested only for those records which have a unit price maybe greater than 5,000. So what I can do is I can just write a where clause where let's copy it dot unit price is greater than 5,000. That means what it will do, it will filter the records before connecting. If we are using the import mode, it will filter the records directly in the source first of all, and it will load only the required columns and required records only. So it will be very helpful for you. Definitely, it will save a lot of time. Plus, if you are using the direct query mode, still it will connect to the database directly. It will not load the data into Power BI services, but we are getting the required data set only. We are connecting for the required data set only and the required columns only. So please remember this, a very important points to keep that in mind. This option is very simple and the command timeout in minutes. If you are putting any command and you need to set a timeout of this is optional your requirement as per your requirements. So hit on OK. Okay, it is asking for the database name. So we have to enter a database name here as well. Okay, no fine. We are using the query mode. We have to enter the database. That's fine. And we are done. So if we do this, we encountered an error while trying to connect to this name internet itself. Okay. Not retry, sorry. I should have clicked on edit. Maybe we just need to check the column names. The database name is correct. Or I think we should remove as well because it is not required. Because we have given the database name over there, so it is not required now. Yeah, so it's working now. Maybe I'm not confirmed what exactly the records were there into the table or not. I'm not confirmed with that, so I don't know the criteria, whatever conditions I have given, it's working or not. But that's fine. My agenda is not to check the records right now. My agenda was to tell you about the difference between the import mode and the direct query mode, plus what benefit we are getting if we are if we are importing the data through a query. So what we can do when we what extra things, what required columns only we can get from the table, and what plus the required records by filtering the unnecessary records, what we can get from the table. Please keep that point in the mind. That's a very important thing. I'm okay with this. I'm okay. I'm happy. Let's cancel it. And now the next thing what we need to talk about is one more import mode. If you click on more services once again, if you go to analysis service, if you go to SQL Server, analysis server. Okay. So if I click on this analysis service, oh, just sorry, I just mistakenly clicked on SQL Server itself. If I click on analysis services, that is SQL Server analysis services. So once again, it is asking me the server name. So what I'll do is I'll go to Connect Object Explorer, go to my analysis services, copy the server name. Okay, put it here. Now this time you will find two different options once again. The one is the import mode and the one is connect live mode. What exactly these two modes are now? So if you are connecting to analysis services, you will use the connect live mode. That is replacing the direct query mode. Okay. If you are inside the data, if you are connecting to the database engine, like for SQL Server, we have taken the example. So we are having two modes, either import mode or direct query mode. If we are connecting to analysis services or maybe Azure analysis services, you will find the import mode and the live connect mode. The connect live mode is similar to direct query mode. If you go and over the mouse over here and see the description, see what it is saying. This file, because it is disabled, what it is saying, the reason for that contains data from another data source. So you cannot explore live data connect and connect to another type of. So what I need to do is I need to check just a moment, or if I connect to the local server as well. The live connectivity mode for this server is not working, but keep that point in mind. That's a very simple and straightforward point. Keep those points in mind that it is replacing the direct query mode with the live connect mode. Okay, that will be same, that you are not importing the calculations, whatever you are not importing the sources into your Power BI services. You're directly connecting to the analysis server, and you are fetching the data directly from there. And instead of there are some other options as well. Yes, definitely we can have these options where instead of SQL query, you will write MDX or DEX expression to provide only those column names which are required to import, and the filtered records. Okay, so you can, instead of SQL query, you will write a DEX expression or an MDX expression here. Okay, so that is fine, but my agenda was here to explain you the three query modes. I hope they are clear with all of you. The import mode, I'm repeating in summary way. The import mode will start loading the data from your source file into the Power BI services. Okay, that means in other words, you can say it simply in simple language. It will copy the data from your source file into Power BI services. It will definitely can take a lot of time when it is a huge data set. When the data set is too high, too huge, then definitely it can take a lot of time. Plus, you have to you have to handle the refresh options to refresh the data sets. But if you are connecting to the database servers, if you are connecting to database servers or Azure analysis services, you will get two other options, either a direct query mode or a live connect mode, where you are not connecting, where you are not loading the data into Power BI services. You are directly connecting to the server and fetching the data on the way, on the run. That means if you are writing a SQL query, you are directly getting the data from SQL server or from analysis services. Then one question came in my mind was why don't we use this mode only? Why we need the import mode then? But remember one point, guys. Import mode is a restricted mode. Okay, this direct query mode and the live connection mode is a restrictive mode. It is not available with all the sources. For example, if I go to select data from Excel file, maybe any Excel file, we have already selected the sample superstore. Let's demo purpose. I'm using that only. If I'm selecting to any of the Excel file, then we don't have anywhere option of uh, a direct query mode. We have to go for the import mode only. Okay, there is only one option, which is import mode. If you are importing data from Excel sheet, or if you are importing data from a CSV file, text file, there are no options of import mode. It will only fetch data from, there is no option of direct query mode and the live connect mode. It will only import the data. Okay. Similarly, if we are fetching data from even from online services, we have the same thing there as well, that we have to import the data. Okay. So if you go to more, and if you go to even some SharePoint list, web resources. Okay. So if I go to web here, I can search from web here as well. Okay. So I can go to web, connect, put the URL, your web from wherever you want to do it, put the URL, and if you put the URL, hit OK, it will be in import mode only. So keep that in mind. The import mode is the most easiest way of working. But yes, for some huge data set, we can't go for the import mode. We should not go for the import mode. We should go for either direct query mode or the live connect mode. Now, the last agenda of this module is to take data from JSON file. Okay. Some of the HR, they store the information in the JSON files. Maybe some companies, due to security reasons, they store the data into JSON files. Let's see how to import data from JSON files as well. Get data, go to more options, go to your file option, click on JSON files, click connect. We'll ask for any JSON file. So I'm selecting any one right now. So I click on sample file. Okay. It will give me a preview how exactly my data will look like. There is no option of load data directly. We'll go to the Power Query editor window itself. Okay. And then we have this data. So that's fine. It has loaded. If you need to load anything, if you need to make any changes, you can do it. So that was just a demo purpose. But my point is to tell you how to get the data from JSON files as well. So I think you must be clear with my points. Okay. what exactly the agenda of today's session.